Does this sound familiar? You have a great idea, you want to vibe code it, and you get completely lost and eventually give up because it feels like a big time waster. We all been there. If you start AI coding wrong, it turns into a complete hell. The first hour might feel amazing, and then the next 20 hours are basically a punishment. You get a beautiful page, but broken logic, 10 files you don't understand, and AI telling you that it's almost fixed like that means anything. So on cam, on this channel, I'm going to build the setup for a real project, and not just a cute demo that dies after the video. What we're gonna do is we are creating the proof of AI website from scratch, complete scratch. And I'm going to take you through the entire journey until this becomes a running business. Today is the base. VS Code, Claude, Codex, Wispr Flow, a clean project folder, a good PRD, and the first prompt that forces AI to interview you before it starts spraying code into your life. And in a few minutes, I will show you the exact prompt that changes Claude from an eager intern to a useful interviewer. And all of our egos are through the roof thanks to AI, right? The real trap is that AI makes you feel productive before you're actually building anything real, and it will tell you, oh yeah, you're doing so great. What's your revenue? Don't ask me. It says yes to everything. You feel like a genius for 7 minutes. Then you have a landing page, 3 errors, no business logic, no plan, no idea what changed, and a folder you are afraid to touch because one wrong click might summon a 2-hour apology from that model. And look, we can make it fancy from the start. I can create a 1-hour tutorial where I build a beautiful website and hopefully get a lot of views and a lot of clicks, and you wasted an hour of your time because what's in it for you? No, this setup is not about being fancy. It's about not wasting your first 20 hours. I once built a whole AI control center for 2 weeks that I basically never use. So when I say that setup matters, I'm not saying it from a mountain. I'm saying it from inside the hole with a receipt. So by the end of this video, you should be able to open your laptop and start a real build without immediately ruining it. Not I watched a motivational AI video and now I feel powerful for 11 seconds. I don't know if I need that in a video, but should I cut that out? No, I mean open VS Code, open one project folder, talk the idea, let Claude ask you questions, write an actual good PRD that Claude understands, but you also understand. Create maybe a rules file, hand the plan to Codex, and know exactly what happens next. This is the base we will use for the proof of AI website. The most important part is not the tools. It's basically the first prompt, and I will show you in a minute. But you cannot expect AI to act like a world-class kitchen, and all you do is making a sandwich. So this setup that we're gonna use has 4 tools, and more importantly, 4 jobs. Now, if I'm gonna be completely honest, you only need 2 of those actually to start. Maybe even just 1. But I'm gonna do 4, and that's quite underwhelming still if you know what's out there. But VS Code for me is always like the project room, right? I work in VS Code. That's where I can see my files, where I can organize everything. It may feel overwhelming if you have never used it. And at the beginning, I was like, what am I doing here? And now it feels like familiar to me. Claude is the interviewer, the planner, the designer, the strategic thinker, the writer of everything. Codex is the builder and the verifier. And then Wispr Flow is so important actually right here as well. It's how you give the AI enough context so it does not have to invent your life from one lazy sentence, right? Like this is, if you give it more context, it will better understand you. And for me, honestly, man, I love it. And I know what you think, like this is not an impressive stack. And it's not. The routing is, and the way you use it can make it impressive. Now, money. Because this is where people accidentally do something stupid, except for me. I always... VS Code is free. It costs you nothing. Wispr Flow has a free plan. Pretty generous. But if you run against a limit, then it only means that you use it so much that you actually feel like, hey, it's worth the little money that you pay for it. Claude Pro is around $20 per month in the US, and ChatGPT is around $20 a month, and currently includes access to Codex on supported plans. So prices and access, they will change. It will probably not get cheaper. So check the current pricing page before your credit card becomes part of the experiment. But honestly, you have a lot of free tools. And if you use them wisely, you can get very far already. By the time you have to pay, you probably already figured out if you want to. Now, a small tip before we begin, because this is all part of the planning, do not start with the $200 plans, all right? That you don't need that at the beginning. Do not start with pumping all kind of money in your Entropic API key or Open Router API key, or upgrade everything so you can use Cloud Design, have 5 editors, 12 extensions, and a Stream Deck at one day. That is not a beginner setup. I know it feels like the more tools you have, the better it will become. Believe me, it's the complete opposite. And yeah, I use higher subscriptions. Then again, I'm doing this full time. I run 2 companies with this, so I need it. But if you start with it, once you hit your limit, it probably means that you're ready for the next step. Let's start. Like the video, let me know down below what your biggest struggle is. I will definitely go over that then, assuming that we don't get 1,000 people watching this channel at the beginning. Otherwise, I have to work really hard. But vibe code my way, it's fine. Go to the official Visual Studio Code website, download the version for your system, install it, and open it. Do not overthink this part. VS Code is not magic. It's the room where the magic and the mistakes can happen in one place, basically, right? So you go to this website. If you have a Windows, click download for Windows, install it. That's it. It's not hard. This all doesn't really look like, oh, wow, I'm going to do this. Believe me, don't worry about that. So we're just going to do this right now. We're going to create proof of AI. This is the start of a business that I hope is going to run very well, just like my other 2. So what you want to do is you want to create one clean folder for one project. For example, AI coding starter. That sounds basic because it is basic, but basic is good. Basic keeps the project from becoming a mess. So don't think like, oh, I have my downloads folder. All the information is somewhere in there. Let's upload that. No. Then you say hi and credits gone, right? Like you don't want to do that. Plus, it's not like you lose track of everything. So let's do it. I'm in my user folder right now, and let me create a new folder right here. So this is what you do, right? Create a new folder, you name it, whatever you want. Okay, there we are. So I have my project folder right now. This is where the project is going to live. A project is based on files. Without files, you cannot have a project. Talk about GitHub later, how you can put it there very easily. So you kind of have a backup as a somewhat of a drive, basically. And it makes you able to actually put your project on the web. So for me, and that's also a lesson that you might want to take with you from my mess, basically, is that I already started proof of AI from a different project folder, from my YouTube folder, basically. But now I decided that this is going to be a standalone project. I want to have this in a standalone folder as well. So if you already have a project somewhere with ideas, what you can do is just copy all your ideas. I know that I don't need this one, by the way. Just copy it. Put it in that folder. There you have it. Cool. So we have VS Code. We have a project folder. We have some files in there, which are messy because we already had some files. Maybe not, right? So you can start with a complete blank folder. That's completely fine. Let's actually get to the next thing, Claude. So go to claude.ai. And for a beginner, I would start with a normal pay plan if you can afford it, not the expensive max plan of $200. I use Claude mostly for brainstorming, asking questions, planning, writing the implementation plan before I hand execution to Codex. So I just downgraded from my $200 plan to the $90 plan. And that, probably will be fine for me, and you can always adjust it whenever you want. Now, there are different ways to use Claude within a project, and there are many debates going on what's better. To be honest, it depends on what you prefer. You can use Claude in the browser by going to claude.ai/code, but you can also use the app. You can use the extension. You can use it in the terminal. It really depends on what you prefer. Do not let this become the point. The point is that Claude needs the project context and it needs to ask questions before writing the code. Okay, so wherever you do that, whatever you prefer. But if you're an absolute beginner, don't bother VS Code yet. It's something that I think you will eventually want. But at the beginning, it's already overwhelming enough. And it's definitely not something that I say like it's a must. For the sake of my project, I'm going to use that though, because that's how I like working. Then, optional, of course, set up Codex. Codex is where I like to execute. It's good at working through actual files, making changes, checking the code base, keeping tasks organized. For me, Claude thinks, Codex builds. This is not the law of nature, but it is very useful for me as a starting rule. And it's something that I haven't been applying for long. I always was using Claude for everything, and it worked fine, but I just noticed that Codex is sometimes just the finishing touch that I needed that Claude was not able to do for me. But so far, Claude $20, Codex $20, and there you have it. You can literally start for basically $40 per month. I'm not gonna lie to you, there's more. You eventually want a database. It costs a little bit. It's not super expensive, but it adds up, right? You want to host it somewhere. You want to have your website actually online for people to use. So you want to use for sale. Also, not expensive, but it adds up a little bit. But these problems only occur if you eventually have a serious project. And then the most underrated tool in this whole setup is Wispr Flow. Everybody's talking about it, and that's for a good reason. It's awesome. I love it. Because the better your context, the better the AI. And most people type like they are paying per letter with their dignity. And when you talk, you explain the idea, the fear, the edge cases, and what you actually want. And like it's so much better. So I left a link down at the bottom below. You can find it right there. You can also not use an affiliate link. You don't have to go to Wispr Flow and, just get it. It's free. So then eventually you may want to pay for it. It's not a must, but it is something that has been worth my money most of what I've spent in the last 2 years, including food. Now, every tool has a job and you have these tools. Wispr Flow captures the messy idea. Claude interviews me and turns it into a plan. VS Code holds the project and Codex is going to execute it. So that's my workflow, and not 20 tools that scream at each other and making it more overcomplicated. Now let's start. And again, you can use the Claude app by just opening a folder right here. You can also use VS Code, which I am going to do. So for the sake of my sanity and autism, I'm using the terminal. But here in VS Code, what you want to do is you want to open a folder, because that's the folder that you are going to work from, right? So I'm now in my user folder, and here I have proof of AI. I just click the folder, select it, that's it. It imports the entire folder that I have right here. Do I trust them? Yes, because it's me. It would be a little weird if not. And then here we are. Now, what you can do, you can either download Claude in the extensions tab on VS Code. You type Claude, it asks you to log in with your subscription that you just took, and you're good to go. Or, and that's what I like to do, actually use it in the terminal. So you can here go to your terminal, click new terminal, install it. There's a bunch of videos on how to actually set that up. And I will just link a random video from somebody who explains it well down below, because there's no reason for me to kind of explain that. But what you can always do, you just took a Claude subscription. So you can just ask Claude, hey, I'm using VS Code right now and I never used it and I have no idea how this works. Can you explain to me step by step, how do I set it up in the terminal? What do I need to type where exactly? Explain it like I'm 5 years old, right? And if you ask it, it will give you a very decent step-by-step guide. It's that easy. You are using AI, so if you are using AI, then let AI help you to use that AI. So I have my files right here. That's everything that this folder contains. But the folder is missing something. It's missing a PRD, right? A file that basically explains like what is the project all about, what are the steps that we're going to take, maybe a little roadmap, just an explanation. And it's missing a Claude MD. And a Claude MD is a very short file that just gives Claude some rules. Claude is always reading that before you start a new task or anything, so that it knows what to hold on to and what to do and what not to do. So for this channel, the brain dump is pretty simple. I want to build a proof of AI website that shows the videos, the builds, the tools, the resources, and eventually the business behind it. And the first screen should instantly prove that this is practical, right? Not another AI blog wearing sunglasses. So we're just gonna start with a nice brain dump. Now, this is the prompt that ruins beginners. Build me an app. That's not a prompt. That's you dropping a baby in the woods and asking why it doesn't have a mortgage, right? You do not want to do that. It needs a little bit more information. The better first prompt is interview me, right? Ask me questions until the MVP, the target viewer, the first page, the content sessions, the business goals, success criteria, and the things that we should build are clear. Do not write code yet. Right, so let's get into that. Hey Claude, I would like you to brainstorm with me. I started a new YouTube channel called Proof of AI. We are currently working from that project folder. And for sake of the entire brand, the project, but also the YouTube videos that I'm creating, it feels like I should create a website that I will do on the spot. I will record videos while I am creating the actual website. And to be honest, I don't really have a clear idea yet what should be on the website. Of course, we can put things on there like generic AI tips, what to do, what not to do, my biggest mistakes, the videos that I'm posting. But I want to make it a little gamified. I want to make it so that people can actually land on a website and do something that is useful to people, that it's super original, and that there is a non-overwhelming walkthrough. So I want you to ask me questions until the MVP and the target viewer, the first page, the content sections, and the business goal, the success criteria, and the things we should not build and that we should build are clear. I don't want you to write any code. I want you to ask me questions about this project, as many as possible, so you have a really good understanding of what I am trying to build right here. This you can keep it very formal, right? The way you talk about it. But if I have to type this, then I would not have given all that context. Now Claude is probably gonna ask me questions that I feel like, oh yeah, let me think about that. So like I said, as a sparring partner, it's already amazing. So let's take a look what happens. Question 1 of many, right? Take your time, sit down for this. Look, you can make this as long as you want, but the more it knows about you, the better. And you will notice that you are starting to create a better understanding for yourself as well. So this might feel boring. You might feel like, I want to go to, building the website. But what are you going to build if you don't even know what you are going to build, right? So this is so important. Do not skip this. Make this as long as possible. Make it annoyingly long. What I recommend you doing, by the way, is often get the Claude app next to it and go to your usage. Just see how far you are with your usage, right? That gives you a little insight before you're going to get cut off in the middle of a conversation or anything like that. And now I'm using Opus 4.7 because I just want the planning to be as good as possible. Sonnet is still fine for that, by the way, and 5 times as cheap. And guys, read it. I know there's a lot of text, but read it. It's so important. Often I got so much from AI and I was like, just go with your recommendation. And no. Don't do that. I can highly recommend you that. Now, for sake of YouTube not flagging this as a Morgan Freeman documentary, I'm playing this at 20,000% speed because you can imagine this takes a while. It all comes down to you get a bunch of questions, you answer them, and when you think you are done, no, you get more questions, so you answer them. Okay. That was a long interview. Now it is actually time to create one simple PRD for the actual business project. So what are we building? Who is it for? What's the smallest useful version? We went over that. Now we have to turn it into a real document that Claude can always refer to. And during the edit, I asked Codex for a complete release plan for all my videos, by the way, for this YouTube channel. So it has a planning curve, how to get there per video. And I don't want to make it super artistic or anything, but a little guideline, which is completely a full book, pretty much. But a little guideline will always help me. And during the edit of the video, I did notice that this video was going to take way too long if I was going to include everything. So therefore, in the next video, you see me build the actual PRD and the start of the build of the project. That's it for this one. Otherwise, it's gonna take way too much of your time. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the very, very next one, which is coming out really soon. So let me know down below what you want to see in one of the next videos as well. Definitely take it with me. There's some room somewhere, probably here.